happen.
Okay.
How do we tell?
It says live is live.
Yes, we're live.
We are
Does it say
live.
we're live?
YouTube is broadcasting.
There we go.
Okay.
We are live. Hello, everybody on the internet. Welcome to the July 2019 decision meeting for the Meridies Internal Letter of Intent. I am Ulrich Eisenhand, Penn and Herald, and I will be running the meeting tonight. And I'm joined by a full party of commenters here to help me tonight. Let's see here if I can. I'm on my phone again because Google hates me. And
It's
so we're going to have
in
everybody
alphabetical
introduce
order.
themselves. Well, more or less, because it's kind of odd the order that they put everybody in on the bottom of my screen. So if I end up going out of order and surprising you, I apologize in advance. So we're going to start off with Kurt.
Hello, I am Kurt Bogner, and I am the Cipher Person. That is the Internal Submissions Deputy for Meridies.
All right, next up is Bronwyn.
Hi, I'm Bronwyn O'Goodwelly. I'm the White Antelope Herald Extraordinary. I am a deputy herald for the Shire of Salhaven, and otherwise I just butt in.
Next would be Catelyn.
Good evening. I am Kellen Wynn. I am Lambent Herald, and yay! And I'm also the local herald for the Shire of Fourth Castle.
Woohoo!
All right. Next would be Alexander.
Hi, I'm Alexander Ravenscroft, Stentor Herald Extraordinary. I've been doing these since they began. I was on the first one. Almost alone.
Almost. All right. Zara, are you there? You're next.
Me? Hi, I'm Sarah Algarnatia, known as Naz to everybody, apparently. I am Torch Herald, and yeah, that's what I do. I'm Torch Herald, and I look at a lot of Indian names.
All right. Next is Flonnet.
Hello, everybody. I am Flonnet Nehaney. I am the Beacon Principal Herald, and we welcome you to our July decision meeting.
Next is Alan.
Howdy, Alan Luthen Larson for Jorvik. I'm a herald for education, and I'm in trouble.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
Do you want to introduce your
I was going to get to that
cohort tonight?
Yes.
because I'm going to make it.
I don't approve.
Haley.
Quick, hit the escape key.
Hello, I'm Haley.
Hi, Haley. Hi.
Now you can go back.
That's what happens when you hit the escape key.
No, it is not.
You're just not hitting it hard enough, Lucian. Next is Finna.
Hi, I'm Thorfinna. I'm the herald for the barony of Bladenfell.
The Golden Hydra Herald.
Hopefully.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully.
And last but not least, well, maybe, Lucian.
Hi, I'm Lucien d'Artois. I'm the Red Raven Pursuivant for the Barony of Southdowns, and I'm Deputy Cipher, which I guess makes me the Deputy Submissions Herald.
No, if you're Deputy Cipher, that makes you Glyph.
Yeah,
Well,
it's your
that's
left.
something new.
No, it's been around for years.
I was glad
Me.
once.
Me. Anyway.
If memory serves me correctly, I happen to be the first glyph.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it has been around for years, just not a whole bunch of years.
It's not registered, so I can't use it.
It is not registered. That is correct. We should probably get on that.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm sure someone here could help you with that.
Worst Herald ever.
Yeah, we don't register anything. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on our letter tonight. Item number 1, Andreas of Owl's Nest. Andreas using Old Norse name from Viking Answer Lady, and Owl's Nest using the branch name allowance.
Which is transparent, so any name will go with it.
All right. And there isn't already an Andreas of Owl's Nest, so I think we are good to go.
Yep.
We will send that one up. Moving right along to item number 2. Celeste of Owl's Nest, new badge. Fieldless, a dandelion seed, bendwise, sinister, argent. We are removing the 2 from the blazon because it is unnecessary. All right, so there. Let's see here. Cormac, Rita Farms, actually chimed in on this one as a reminder that we needed to document dandelion seeds because there hasn't been one registered yet.
Ah.
And I believe Adelaide provided enough information here with period descriptions as well as what appears to be a woodcut, definitely an illustration showing dandelion seeds, and it's labeled as a dandelion.
I think she is patently going above and beyond in this one.
I think she absolutely has, but the depiction of the dandelion seed does not look like those dandelion seeds.
Nope.
I thought it was a sparkler, to be honest.
I did too. I kind of looked at it and went.
My first thought was actually the logo they used a couple of years ago for the Hadron Super Collider.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like, is it a
That's true too,
sparkler?
but it just, I mean, a dandelion seed is round, is with all the arms, whatever you want to call them, mostly equal length, and that just doesn't look like. That is maybe a single dandelion seed off the dandelion head, though.
Yeah,
That's what they're registering.
Oh, okay, all right. So that I may be wrong on that. I'm thinking dandelion head as opposed to dandelion seed.
No, it is a singular seed, and I mean I have found the stock image that they sketched from. It is very much a dandelion seed.
Okay, then I absolutely stand corrected on that one. But but we're still facing the will it be registrable or not? That's probably going to be up to Reed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is well above my pay grade. The best we can do is include the
Documentation.
documentation that Adelaide provided.
Yeah. I got some problems with it in terms of identifiability, but it's a decision above our level of the food chain.
Correct.
Right.
I think that I look at it and I can tell that it is a dandelion seed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are other things that it could be, but when I looked at it the first time, I said, "Oh, it's a dandelion seed."
If I click on the image and blow it up, it looks like a dandelion seed. If I'm just looking at the miniature, I can't really tell what the heck it is.
Yeah, I had no clue it was a dandelion seed until I looked at the blazon.
I didn't either. But once I looked at the blazon, I said, well, maybe.
When when I first looked at it, I thought the seed hip pod on the end was a handle of some kind of duster or something. It's just.
Mhm.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
It's a screwdriver going into an electrical outlet, and it's all the sparks flying.
Well, you know,
It's the new badge for the Spark Herald.
Yeah. It's a laser pointer shooting at a pile of glitter.
well, I don't know if that's what Celeste of Owl's Nest was going for. However, she must like dandelions, and so
I think that it's identifiable. I mean, maybe
If you look at the wood,
I didn't know what it was, but when I read the blazon, I said, "Yeah, that's what that is."
Yeah.
if you look at the wood cut, there's like the smaller flower in the center that looks like it's got like singular seeds coming off of it, and it looks kind of like that.
yeah.
I think I think what might actually help it might be the depictions that Adelaide found are a little more, what you want to say, they're fatter line, they're more bold.
Yeah.
This very fine line drawing in the original is kind of what's confusing to the eye, especially in the smaller form. When you blow it up, it becomes a little more obvious.
right, and they're not curved. The one that if you blow up the like Lucian said, if you blow up that woodcut and you look at the fourth picture, if those tines of the seed were a little bit more rounded instead of straight,
Yeah.
that might make it clearly definable.
Couldn't hurt.
In fact, if you wanted to check with the submitter about maybe doing a redraw and using one of those seeds coming off that middle flower as your
Guide, yeah.
example and draw it off of that. That way, when they submit it, they can say, well, it doesn't have a modern, it doesn't look like a modern depiction because it's going off of the exact image of the period woodcut.
Period image, right.
Which is not a bad idea.
And I think that would probably increase the chances of this passing.
I think Lucian is right on that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Because if the image was taken from a period woodcut, then they could not argue that it wasn't a period depiction.
Exactly.
Okay.
I could do a redraw. It won't be. It'll be trivial to do.
Okay.
Because we've got all the, Adelaide provided all the documentation, so
Yeah.
I think if we take this one next little step, it'll help push this over the top.
Okay. So we are going to go ahead and do a redraw on that and propose it to the submitter.
Mm-hmm.
If the submitter likes the redraw, then we'll change it. If not, I'm still going to advance it. I don't have any grounds to return it.
No.
But we will add the documentation that Adelaide provided and send it up. Okay. Moving along to item number 3. Gunnar and Paviti, new household name and new badge. Let's start with the household name. Companions of the Court of Miracles.
Oh, I had discussion.
Alexander has opinions on this one. He told me all about them at Known World.
I did, and it's not because I disagree with this in particular, but I don't think it's registerable.
Well, I can see one issue with it already in that companions is not a designator. It's not a household designator on the approved list, so they would have to provide period examples of this being used as a household, and
there
I don't.
There is a precedence for that. There's a registration from 1979 for the.
Oh my God. Tell me it's not August.
Previous registrations do not count as precedents.
I understand that. However, in my comments, you see there that there is usually a designator of member of an order, but there is one at that point. So I said, we do have this registration. It does exist. Granted, that was August of 79.
The last time
That's
it was used,
Heraldicon, man. That is Heraldicon.
Lion's Heart made a comment that the last time that this was used as a household designator was January of 1981. And I would just like to remind everyone that they were still registering Elven names at that point.
Yeah.
So
I'm not.
I don't
saying,
think that would be a good idea to use that as an example.
I'm not saying that it would pass this way. I'm just saying that there is a registration for it. And this is also the thing that I have, unfortunately, the least problem with on this one.
Well, if I'm not sorely mistaken, that's about the time that they actually decided to stop doing it for these very reasons.
Yeah.
You know, the 80s, 70s vintage stuff is that's another planet.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Heraldically speaking.
They were a lot more creative back in the day.
Yeah.
Creative's a polite word for it.
Lionheart. Actually, Lionheart found a couple more. He finds 2 orders that way, which I don't think help in this case.
No,
But
ordered.
there is also the Companions of the Beaten Ass, which is a household name from 81. Also from Meridies.
And it's
That was
still,
Allison Cool.
we'll have to check with Bambi about how that one got through.
And Lionheart also goes on and says it can't be used as a designator for awards or orders, but doesn't say anything about households. So it's not currently prohibited from households. I don't really think it fits what we're looking for in a household necessarily without further research.
Well, my point was not that it was prohibited. It's not on the list of approved designators. So it would have to have additional documentation, which it does not.
It would need an ISB.
Yes. So you would have to find 3 period examples of this being used in this context. And
As a household designator.
Yeah. Do we want to go on to the Court of Miracles part now?
Let's go ahead and go on to the Court of Miracles part.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, let's go ahead.
Okay, since I made these comments, this is my issue with this. I actually think it's a very pretty name. It's got a very interesting derivation on this. However, it is using exactly what they called something in Paris at the time, according to the documentation that they did not provide. I did look at the Wikipedia entry. The Wikipedia entry says exactly what they said in there, but it's Wikipedia.
Yep.
They do reference the margins of the Society of Late Medieval France. They did not provide copies of that paperwork for us to look at, even in French. This is exactly what they called this section. I don't think we would ever register the Shire of the Big Apple because you can't say the Big Apple as a geographic area and not think it's New York.
Yep.
Yep.
By the same logic, hold on a second. I'm getting a comment on the YouTube channel. This, even if this is not an official area, so like we're used to places like Michigan, Scotland, or whatever being an area.
Mm-hmm.
The Levant is an area that was never a single unified political entity. It's an area of the northeast, off the northeast Mediterranean coast. And there's never been, as far as I know, a province or a nation called the Levant. It's an area that is basically Syria, somewhere around, it's Syria and Lebanon and a few other places around there.
Yeah.
Register Companions of the Levant or the Order of the Levant because it conflicts with what I consider to be a fairly famous planetary region.
So you're arguing basically presumption.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's presumption.
Well, it's assumption of a physical already existence.
There were multiple courts of miracles all over the place. It wasn't just the slum districts of Paris, as my understanding.
Yeah.
There were several in fairly major large cities.
Right, but would
That
we
makes
be able to list them out? If we could, then we're listing where they would be located.
But
Right.
So,
but
the one thing that the one question that I have is, Court of Miracles as a household name element, as a substantive element for a household name. It doesn't fit the pattern. Any of the currently attested patterns for household names.
Right. Also,
So again, we would have to find individually attested
documentation
patterns.
that shows, Court of X as being an appropriate household name.
Well, we do know that they were used. Oh, I'm sorry.
Quick question. When we are looking at documentation for this name, what is our maximum allowable date?
1650.
Okay, because according to this stuff, it's all 17th century, 1650 onwards.
Yeah.
And I'm going to look up my Paris history book. Give me a few minutes, and I'm going to find if there's anything in there about that. So give me a few minutes on that one.
And I mean, I think we could easily find things that were called Court of something or something court. I mean, Hampton Court springs to mind, and that predates our time.
Yeah.
It's a known building. So,
but does it fit into what would be allowable for a household name?
I think it could be so argued because, we would because we use tavern names and tavern signs to come up with them.
Okay.
And those are basically buildings.
Yep, they are.
We would use a hostelry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got a few places. Lady Hall, for example, which is the household of Starhelm and Nirak, is registered that way because it's presumably a building. And
well, it doesn't really fit the ensign motif because the ensigns tend to be number plus items or animals or or whatever rather than the name of a building.
What about
we
house?
don't have to, but we're not restricted to ensigns either.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's not the ensign model.
No, it's not the ensign model, but what I said with ensigns is an ensign is an inn for a building. So we're naming that household after that building.
Mm-hmm.
That inn is the building with the name from the ensign. So we do basically use building names for household names.
Would you name a building Court of Miracles? The Court of Miracles was an area. So
would you name a building Hampton Court?
Yeah, you might.
Yeah, you would.
I have a picture. Do you want me to grab the picture off the wall?
Especially if there was a court, if it was a courthouse or court was held there.
But we don't need a royal court because much lower nobility had courts.
No, I know that's what I'm saying.
What about
a building where a court was held? It would be.
But no, it wouldn't because they called a number of buildings courts. As long as they were typically owned by someone like an earl or a baron or a marquis, but they would have buildings called something court. It doesn't have to be royally based.
No, but the model for that would be Miracle Court rather than Court of Miracles, wouldn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
I'm just being
but we're looking at naming something if we're looking at naming something court in there, in my commentary, I don't think it's presumptuous to use the term or the word court in the household name.
No,
I don't think that's the problem. I think
No.
Your presumption almost comes into man miracles.
yeah.
Well, no, I don't even think miracles are a problem either, because we have a great number of examples of something miraculous happening in household names. We use Saint Michael, we use Saint Gertha, we use Saint Egbert. We use a lot of, we use the angels. This is the Church of the Archangel Michael.
But that is still, even though it is a
miraculous
divine
entity.
entity, it is still the household of a person, not the household
Well,
of an abstract thing.
Right. Ships' names were quite frequently used as models for household names, and a lot of ships were named the Saint so-and-so.
Okay. Adelaide has a couple of comments.
Okay.
Let's see. There would be courtyard, often the proper names of English manor houses: Hampton Court, Tottenham Court, Skelton Y came to Naught Court, to which court? To the King's Court or to Hampton Court?
Second element.
Yeah. Nutwell Court, which signifies a mansion house in a signory. So,
right, but where the submitter is going though from is very late period to post period.
Yeah,
is where his where he's pulling his documentation from.
Yeah, which did he provide this and it just didn't make it on Oscar, or did he just?
I don't know.
No, the documentation.
The documentation that he basically put a link to the Wikipedia page.
Yeah,
and
his book as well.
There is a link there to the Wikipedia page.
Yes, but there's a book as well. I'm hoping that he sent the pages from the book, because Wikipedia should, in this case,
I can find that book. Give me a few minutes.
I went on to Google Books and looked up that book, and the free preview jumps from page 129 to page 132.
Give me a few minutes. I've got access to the Cambridge University Press archives.
Of course she does.
I'm an alumni.
He's an alum. You can do that.
I can do that.
Yeah.
So let me have a look at their books and have a look.
What if he changed it to, instead of companions, etc., to House of the Court of Miracles?
I don't think the problem is the designator. I think the problem is Court of Miracles.
It may be, but I'm just saying structurally.
It sounds to me like he's using designator thing.
Yeah, court and
companion and then court is using two designators.
Right, they're two designators, correct.
We have somebody on YouTube who has pointed out the Inns of Court, which are period, and they're an area of law in London.
Right.
They actually refer not necessarily to the areas of law, but to the organizations that met in those areas.
Which is actually closer to what he's getting with the Court of Miracles.
That's the Inns of Courts, not the Court of X.
Yes.
Yeah, and also the individual Inns of Court, where they use the designator of the Honorable Society of whatever, like Lincoln's Inn, Gray's Inn, Inner Temple.
Yeah.
So it doesn't fit the pattern in that aspect either.
Yeah. Designator. Like I said, my problem with this is we're using something that is exactly the word used in Paris and other places for this. And I think that's presumptuous, even though it wasn't an incorporated area. According to the Wikipedia, which is all I've got on here, they were famous and known enough that I think they conflict. So I think this, if it were properly designated, is presumptuous against actual period. An actual period geographic area of significant
repute.
Yeah, there's good.
Okay. Renown, whatever.
Yeah, renown.
Right.
Just as a argument, what if he changed it to specify a Court of Miracles of a particular place, not a period one, as in an SCA kingdom, group, or region.
What's your
Probably
say about
not
presumption?
household name.
Is that enough to draw it out? Adelaide thinks this is a Pelican call for presumption.
I think she's right. I mean, you know, I can see where we're going here, that you could have the House of the Court of Miracles of Paris or the House of the Court of Miracles of Meridies or something, you know, and stretch it out, and it would differentiate it. However,
Would we have the Court of London? Would we do the House of London of Meridies?
no.
Also, this may fall afoul of the NPN 4C non-personal names presumption, names that claim powers.
Which is what it first struck me, and I commented.
I mean, I know that in the context of the documentation, it's not something that's claiming powers, but if you take it outside of that and have it on its own, it may come across to people who aren't familiar with that to be something
There's also the fact that the gentleman that is is wanting to register this is an apprentice in magic. Is what he wants to do, is be a magician. So I don't know if that makes it worse or better.
I think it makes it very appropriate. He's going to do something that applies to what he's interested in.
Right.
Regardless of his area of interest, I don't think this, if it were properly designated, be it by companion court or something else, I don't think it works any more than me trying to register Duckburg.
Okay, I found the reference.
Good.
It is not a book, it is a research journal. And it is in French.
Okay.
And it basically starts with the margins, the margins of Parisian citizens in the 14th and 15th centuries. Living history, that's one of them. That's a book review. Sorry, this is a book review I found. But per the book review, per the book title, it is 14th and 15th century. Now, I can't actually find the reference itself, but I'm still searching for that.
I think that at the most basic, that's the first question: is can this even be documented to period? If
Yeah.
it can't, then the rest of the discussion is kind of moot.
Yeah,
So here's where I'm.
We still have two designators, neither of which is right.
Here's where I'm looking at it from. Right. So we don't have documentation showing that companions is an acceptable designator for a household.
But I think that could be a test case.
They still have to provide documentation for it.
I completely agree with you.
We have the appearance of using two designators in the name with companions and court. We don't know, if Court of Miracles is going to be presumptive, that would be a decision higher up.
That's a third point.
Yeah.
But with those first two, not knowing if not having documentation showing that companions is a viable designator, and the appearance of having two designators within the name, I don't know as if I can advance it without having the documentation to support it.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, this is a complicated submission that doesn't have the documentation it needs to go forward.
Really?
I think, looking at this, I think I'm going to have to return it and ask for more documentation.
Wikipedia is a good starting point sometimes.
Yeah,
But-
but we can't
but
use
it
it as
can't-
documentation.
It's just not standalone.
But I looked at the Wikipedia article, the Wikipedia article that was referenced for a list of further references and information, and basically the stuff that is referenced in there for the Court of Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at this phenomenon gave the generic name to these areas where so many miracles occurred every day, Court of Miracles. If I go to that link, it is a link to the Bibliothèque Nationale Française.
Okay, so the French National Library.
Yep, French National Library. Sorry, I'm thinking in French and English right now, so you'll have to excuse me.
Like you do.
Like you do.
He does actually, and can occasionally throw a couple other languages in there.
Yeah.
Yes. And I can see the book, but the first thing I would have to do is look through that book to see if it's actually even relevant.
I vote that he sends all of us to Paris so we can do some research on it.
On his dime.
Oh, just like that he said.
Second that motion.
I got to get my passport renewed.
And this is a very old book as well. And it's about a prison.
I think I'm going to agree with Ulrich that it's going to have to go back, but we could resubmit it with the proper documentation. And I hope that book review was right, because everything I have is documenting it to the late 17th century, not.
Yep, that's everything I'm finding apart from that.
Like I'm getting like 1654 at the very earliest. So I'm not getting the period on top of that. So I think it's going to have to go back until we get documentation for all that stuff.
And this book might have it in, and I'm trying to figure out whether it does. But
just to go off of the information that is in the Wikipedia article, it says these areas grew largely during the reign of Louis XIV, 1654 to 1715, which is post-period RCA. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to return the household name and ask for more documentation for the construction that they're using, for the elements that they're using. Maybe we have to work on modifying it a bit to make it play nice with the rules for non-personal names.
That's a lovely idea for a magician.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It just needs some work.
I love the concept, but it just doesn't play nice with Cena.
Right.
Unfortunately.
And I don't remember who asked the comment about if you could add Meridies to the end of that. The answer to that question is no. Because that falls afoul of the standards for affiliation conflict.
Correct.
It makes it sound like that is affiliated with the kingdom itself.
Point
I wasn't suggesting that to make it of Meridies. I'm just saying if you make it as a place, basically to get it away from the period known ones, if we can find a period known one.
Right.
That if you made it of a local entity not associated with one of the periods, such as a kingdom or whatever, but that's just an example, would it be possible to get it structurally clear? I'm not sure it would be, but that's just where my brain was wandering at that moment. But the first whole question is, can you document it to period at all?
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, this documentation was written, the documentation from Wikipedia was written somewhere between 1858 and 1927. And all it says is, for several centuries, Paris and its environs has been infested with foul vagabonds and the poor. The majority, who were beggars by profession, hung about in the quarters generally known as the Court of Miracles. And then says, go look in the appendix. But it doesn't give me a date. All it says is for many centuries.
I have a friend who's a French scholar specialist. His real area is Napoleonics, but he does a lot of earlier stuff too. I'll get in contact with him and see if he can come up with a possible source.
Okay.
That sounds like a good idea.
All right. So we're gonna, as of right now, we're gonna have to return the household name.
Right.
He does also have a badge on this, which we need to look at because it's associated with him and not the household name.
Correct.
So the badge is sable, a beggar's basin argent, and in chief a bezant and oral argent.
I was not able to find anything blazoned in the ONA as a beggar's basin.
I see here. Who was it?
Edwin Leclerc.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it was Bronwyn talking about bowls.
Yeah,
I think for the sake of simplicity, this needs to be reblazoned to be a bowl, because the function of the bowl is not really important. You look at it and it's a bowl.
I was unable to find anything registered as a beggar's anything, and all bowls were
registered as a bowl, right?
bowls.
Yes.
Well, that would kind of make sense because beggars didn't have standardized items.
No, they didn't.
No.
Bowl, Mark 1, Model 1, generic.
So we're just talking a blazon issue with this one.
So
Now,
did we have any conflicts?
I don't think I found any.
Nope.
All right.
I didn't see a film.
No, let's see.
I
No,
mean,
I did not.
I don't know what a bowl would conflict with, if anything.
You might think.
I think.
You might think. Oh, go ahead.
Basin plate. There are a few other things, possibly a fountain. I might be wrong on that one.
Well, this I guess
There's
could
another-
be blazoned as a basin. Then it's basins.
There's another problem on this. This is in trian aspect. But I think in this case, this might be something that is needed because I don't think you can identify it as a bowl unless it's in
I
trian.
think it would be needed to be identifiable.
I don't guess anybody found the default version.
Check under the spelling Mazer. According to Terry.
I'm going to look on Mist Home and see if I can find any bowl graphics.
Taryn
See here.
suggests
the one on Mist Home is shown with that sort of trian aspect to show that it is a basin, that it is hollowed out.
Yes, it is. That's what I was looking for.
What did Terrence say, Alexander?
To check under the spelling Mazer, because his mother-in-law makes those.
Well,
See here,
when I look at Mazer on Mist Home, it is a footed bowl. It has a
looks like a chalice.
like a short chalice.
Okay.
So I don't think a Mazer would be the answer. And if you run into that, you're conflicting with things like goblets.
Right.
Yeah. More so than the bowl graphic, although the bowl graphic does have a slight stand on it as well, a little pedestal.
But on Mist Home, it does say, a bowl is a rounded container or dish shown in side view or 3/4 view.
Right, so that handles the trian.
This would be 3/4 view.
Yes.
In its simplest form with a flat bottom.
Mm-hmm.
It's found in the arms of Saint Albion, mid-16th century.
Right. So we're good to go on the bowl or basin.
All right. I think that it's all right if we call it a bowl, because I think calling it, what was it, a beggar's basin, I think that's,
Well, according to Ms. Tom, the bowl can also be called a basin, or BASIN or BASON. So if he wants it to be a basin, we could call it a basin.
A basin.
There's bowls listed under cups and cauldrons in the O&A.
So we would have to check it versus a cup or a cauldron.
Yeah.
I don't really visually. I wouldn't confuse this with a chalice or a cup or anything necessarily. But as I said, under bowl and Miss Tom, it also has alternate terms for it being a basin. So if he wants it to be a basin, it could be a basin. But I'm afraid we're going to have to, I guess, check it against goblets and cups.
Taryn says Frederick Boulder has the following device associated with the name of 2003 on tier. Sable, a chalice within an Orel Argent. If that's the case, if bowls and chalices conflict,
And the only point of difference is the basin.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. The only point of difference is the Bezant in that case.
So we need to find out for sure whether bowls and chalices conflict.
And Taryn's saying the same thing or White Antelope is.
Yep.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
yeah.
I already conflict checked it against cups.
Okay, cool.
Oh. Wave your arms next time.
Okay, what did you find?
I didn't find any conflicts.
Okay.
I said that I conflict checked it against cups, and I conflict checked it against cauldrons and cooking pots, and I didn't find a conflict in either category.
Okay, but we've still got the one that
Taryn found.
Aaron found.
Yeah, a chalice within an oral argent. Sable.
Frederick Badger, I'm sorry.
So I think I'm going to go ahead and send it up with a note, citing that particular potential conflict,
Right.
and a note saying that we were uncertain whether bowls and chalices conflict.
Makes sense.
Sounds like that works.
Because sometimes a bowl can have a base, like is depicted in the picture in Mist Home.
Correct.
I think that presents a visual conflict, but I don't think we have that in this situation.
Because
So,
this bowl does not have a pedestal.
correct.
But now
So-
here's a question. If bowls sometimes have bases, in which case it is conceivable that someone hearing the blazon
would picture it with
and emblazing it could put a base on it and be perfectly correct, because bowls sometimes have blazons. Does that not turn this into conflict? Because they're not emblazoning something that wasn't blazoned.
Yes, but we're registering the emblazon.
What?
We're registering the emblazon.
I understand
So
that.
if Reith wants to reblazon it as something else, they could.
But what
Basin
Alexander is
on
saying,
them?
that if it
them?
gets emblazoned as a basin or a bowl or whatever, somebody recreating it from the blazon could add a base to the emblazon, which would present a visual conflict with the chalice.
Okay, if we send it up with the potential conflict stated, and then it's either going to be a conflict or Wreath could reblazon it as something else that would be clearer.
You can't blazon your way out of a conflict.
Yeah. And because there are variations to the way this charge is depicted, I think we have that as a concern. Terrence, by the way, says this was under cups in the O&A.
Mhm.
I think we should send
And it doesn't
up
look like a cup.
and
It looks
make,
like
let Wreath make the call on that.
It doesn't look like what we think of as a cup.
No.
true.
I'm gonna go ahead and send this one up with the potential conflict cited, and
let them make the call.
Let-
That's why they get paid the big bucks.
Yep. If in doubt, send it up.
he gets the big pointy hat for a reason.
Yep.
Or revision of the default ideas may need to be put in place, because that's, if you really look at that, that really opens a huge can of worms about a lot of potential.
Well, not necessarily, because a peacock looks like a peacock. But
Well, no, just in this category.
yeah, but a peahen also looks like a quail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, we should have more submissions like this. We've got 11 people watching.
Excellent.
Of course, I think I'm one of them, but that's beside the point.
Hello, 10 people and Master Alexander.
Hi, I'll answer for everybody.
I think I'm one of those people too on YouTube.
Are you commenting on?
Yeah,
I'm not commenting, I'm watching.
To try and keep tabs on the chat.
I'm watching all the lovely people make all the lovely comments.
Yeah, that's why I'm over here, as I try to keep up with the chat.
No, Master Alexander is not a people.
So
That's why I said people and Master Alexander.
Someone in chat asked if Master Alexander not a people?
so if we send it up and just let Wreath make the call.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. That particular call is above my pay grade. So moving along to item number 4, Yusuf Warg, new name and new badge. Let's start off with the name.
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what I'm looking at here for documentation, because neither one of the names is listed in the documentation here.
Not that I saw. Now I have seen Joseph spelled with an I, but I don't know if that works in Finnish.
So there is something about the last name here in the article under section 3 in structure of a Finnish name.
Okay.
Yes.
Under by names are the most varying of names. They could indicate a profession, physical attributes, or just be otherwise descriptive. For example, Henrik Poju, a kid, Gurmant Soatra, Svat, Musta, black, Alent Barg, Bark, Susie, wolf. So that is listed there.
Okay, then that is sorted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the name Arend Varg is actually listed in the list of names further down.
Yeah.
So yes, Varg is actually listed as a surname in this article.
Yes. And it is listed as the Finnish for wolf.
But it is also the case, as Bronwyn pointed out, that Yosef with an I is not listed. Yosef with a J is. And like Bronwyn, I don't know if we are allowed to transpose I's and J's in Scandinavia.
Okay, so what cultures are we allowed to do it in, and would any of them mesh with Finnish?
Russian.
So
Boom.
if you can do IOSEF in Russian and it will go with Finnish, then we could register it as Finnish Russian.
Yes.
And Finnish.
And those names are able to be combined
Right, and we could get him what he wants.
per Appendix C.
Yes.
Is any of that supposed to be what the image is supposed to give us?
It looks like it. And quite a number of pages he's got that's connected. It's from the Helsinki National Archives.
I'm only seeing one page.
Yes, I'm only seeing one page.
Well, that's what he's got highlighted.
Yeah.
But there's other pages in that.
Can anybody read what was actually posted?
I'm actually trying to read it right now.
Do you read Finnish?
I read sufficient Finnish to be dangerous.
Thank
God.
I grew up multilingual in Europe, okay?
Well, I grew up hearing Finnish, but I haven't been around a Finnish speaker since I was probably 5. So, the most Finnish I can speak is Pika Sana Dutta. So,
The Dictionary of Period Russian Names has Yosef with an I.
yep.
IOSIF. And there's also a Yosef with a ZEF and Yusuf with IUZEF. So I think we can use that documentation to justify submitting or substituting the E for the I.
Could you send me a link to the page with the IOSEF spelling?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we will go ahead and add that to the documentation.
Just make sure I have the...
And then if we get lucky, maybe we will get a ruling on whether or not we can transpose I's and J's in.
Right.
Or someone at Laurel level will pop up with documentation for the shift.
Right.
I have another Finnish possibility that I'm checking on, but
Okay.
I don't know if he'll be available to answer my text right now.
Hey, Ulrich, I dumped the link in the group chat on Hangouts.
There it is.
Yep.
And that's the specific section in the documentation that has the Yosef.
Oh, apparently Reef is watching.
Cool.
Hi, Reef.
Hi.
We all look marvelous.
Hello, Cormac.
We're sending you things, Cormac.
Yeah.
Love us.
Hey, Cormac, would you like to discuss a bowl?
Cormac will get to discuss a bowl here in a couple months.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. Should we move on to the badge?
As he said at Known World, he does his best not to comment on things that he might see.
Yes.
So I am going to respect that.
Okay.
So Lucian, I know I'm gonna sound difficult, but if you could just drop me that link in Messenger instead, because
Absolutely. I apologize if you told me to do that originally.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a problem. I can do that right now.
Where I'm on my phone, I can't actually
get
into the chat. So thank you.
No worries.
Okay, Murian, going back a little bit, Murian and Ryan apparently says Joseph could be Joseph. Josef could be IOSEF. And Taryn says there might be enough in Wickenden to justify it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've given him the link for, is Wickenden.
Wickenden.
I'm doing the YouTube live as well because we want to incorporate everybody.
Yes.
Right.
You may continue.
Right. So, regardless, we are figuring out a way to
Get him what he
stunt
wants.
docket to where, regardless, we will be able to document this spelling with these two name elements together.
Yes.
Yes.
So, all right, I just got the link from Lucian. Thank you very much. All right, so we're going to say the name is good, and we are going to send it up. So moving along to the badge. Per chevron, inverted, sable, and argent, a wolf's head cabossed argent, and 2 axes in saltier gules.
You can recognize it.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Kurt has already sent me a redraw to get the badge to actually fill out the box on the
Excellent.
form.
Okay, good. Is the line of division position adequately?
It looks right.
Okay.
It,
I mean, sometimes people call that.
it looks a touch low, but I think it'll be okay because you can get away with moving the line of division a little bit to accommodate for the size of primary charges.
Right.
This is not a lion of division. This is a wolf of division.
Okay. Now, are these co-primary, or are the axes?
They
Okay, and 2 axes in saltire, because it doesn't say in base 2 axes in saltire beds. So these look like they may be co-primary.
because this is blurring the line
They're
because
based by
the
default
wolf-
by coloration.
but the wolf's head drops below the fess line
And the axes do not go above it.
Right.
Go above.
So I think
Which
we
looks
need
like a
to
primary and a secondary.
I think we need to reblazon it to make sure that these are seen as secondary charges.
Or do the redraw to make the wolf's head a little bit smaller
Mm-hmm.
to have it entirely above the fess line.
That
That would be, if you did that, then you could adjust the per chevron line to be a bit more balanced because it should be about half above, half below.
Mm-hmm. Which it is not. And
Yeah, if we shrink the wolf's head a little bit to get it entirely above the fess line, and adjust that, we can possibly even adjust the axes a little bit to fill out the bottom a little more.
now, does he want them to be co-primary? Do we know?
That's what the blazon on the form suggests.
Yes.
If we make these co-primaries, because we have to blazon each one individually with a different posture, does that fall afoul of?
You cannot compare animate with inanimate.
Okay.
Yes.
So no.
So no.
It is good for unity of orientation and unity of posture.
Unless, of course, it's a dolphin in a shell.
In any case.
What? It was returned. It was.
Okay.
But a shell is an inanimate object.
I am aware. I made that argument.
Taryn is asking, how does this work with the recent low R statement concerning charges above points of chevron?
I don't know because
I think we're just asking for commentary on that, don't they?
This doesn't apply because it's the charges below the point of the chevron because it's inverted.
yes.
It's also not a chevron, it's per chevron.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
Right. And, well, in this case,
I think they were specifically talking about a chevron.
Mhm.
Mhm.
and trying to fit an object above the point.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because a chevron sits higher up than the line of division does.
And it forces the chevron lower on the shield to accommodate a charge right above the point. And so I can see the problem with it.
So as far as the redraw goes, do we want to shrink in the noggin, or in order to, and then change
Shrinking the noggin?
Shrink the noggin and tweak the per chevron line a little bit to balance it out a little.
And maybe beef up the axis just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'll have a little bit of extra room at that point.
Yes, we will.
It wouldn't hurt to put them actually in a full proper saltier instead of slightly flattened.
That's true.
So y'all may have said this, but we know that they want them to be co-primary and not.
Just going to suggest that you contact the submitter
Yeah.
before you do the redraw
Because
to make sure.
I mean, the picture is okay as it is. It just needs a new work. It just needs in a base to make them secondary.
Right.
So Reith says that chevron actually takes away that field division, takes the whole fest line thing away. Two things on either side of the division are co-primary. So you'd have to put an in base rather than the chevron.
Right. By adding in base to the blazon, the picture works.
Yes.
If they want the head to be sole primary, it needs to cross the actual line of division.
Yeah, and you don't need to add in base in this case because tincture rules require it to be this way.
Yes.
But you need to add in base in order to indicate that they are secondary.
Secondary charges.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so I guess then I will contact the submitter and ask about that. So I guess Kurt, hold off on doing a redraw of that until we confirm that that's what they're looking for. So I'll get in touch with the submitter and figure out exactly what they want.
Okay. That works.
As is, we modify the blazon a little bit, and we could send it up, or we can modify the image a little bit and make them true co-primaries and send them up. But in either case, I'm going to advance it. All right, so moving along to item number 5, John McAlvey of Vulpine Reach. New badge. Fieldless, a phoenix sustaining a trefoil sable.
A phoenix and a propeller beanie.
It doesn't look like he's sustaining it. It looks like it's balanced on top of its head, but
exactly.
So I'm not sure how that, or maybe surmounted by, or I don't know how you would exactly blazon that.
That's a phoenix crested by a trefoil.
Maybe.
Iago.
If he was sustaining it, he would put it in his mouth or something.
Well, that would be
Iago suggests fieldless, a phoenix conjoined to in chief a trefoil sable.
That would work.
That would work.
The reblazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, a simple reblazon.
All right. So, did we run into any conflicts with this?
I did not while I was doing the initial consultation for it.
Okay.
It doesn't look like I did a conflict check on it because I didn't say I did. I think this is where I got interrupted and when I was commenting and had to stop for what I thought was going to be a little while.
Taryn suggests conjoined in pale.
That works too.
Mm-hmm.
Conjoined in. But
because if they were conjoined in chevron, we'd have an entirely different discussion.
If it was conjoined in pale, you'd be blazoning the trefoil first.
yeah, but the trefoil is clearly
secondary
to the phoenix. So yeah, we
How
have
about
to use the phoenix.
how about conjoined in pale to a trefoil?
I like it in chief. That tells you
Two in chief
I
trefoil.
like Iago's. Yeah, I like Iago's because that says that it is above, it is in standard orientation, and it is conjoined,
Right.
which will give you what this is.
Yeah.
Adelaide also points out that the line art drawing is grayscale.
Yeah, I can clean that up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the closest I'm getting is fieldless a Phoenix Sable. We're getting 1 DC for the fieldless bribe and 1 for adding the secondary charge.
Correct.
Okay. Excellent.
All right.
All right, so this badge is getting advanced.
This is number 6 is very Tudor.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh, very.
Okay, so number 6, Kirlin Anna Chunaman. New name and new device. Let's start off with the name.
Well, Ketterland seems to be good. It's from Balo.
Yeah.
Double checking that to see if it shows up. And it is there, dated to 1366.
Okay.
Excellent.
The issue is we don't have an actual copy of the documentation for the surname.
And here's another problem. Looking at how she does this, if we use her legal last name, that's her mundane name registered. That's her alternative. If we can't do any Kuzanamin, she suggests her mundane last name. If we use her mundane last name, since her submitted given name is her mundane given name, that's her mundane name.
So we can't register it.
So we can't do that.
Oh yeah. Her mundane first name is not Ketterland.
I apologize if I misread that comment or that part of the entry.
That's no worries. I got her submission form right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I don't have we don't have to worry about that. That was my concern, is that would be her mundane name.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we don't have to worry about that anyway, since we can't assign a holy name at Kingdom.
Now, she was just using the Ketterland there to illustrate what the name would be with her mundane surname.
Yeah, but if we advanced both of them and the device passed and couldn't, that's where the holding name could have come into problems.
Right. Or she would have been registered as Ketterland of whatever group she plays with.
Do we have that last name with any documentation, or just this? Did they send that in?
Did not send a copy of the documentation, just the citation.
Because I mean, I think I understand send the citation, but this is something that we need to be able to forward up can we advance this without having that actually in there?
Sorry, I missed the gist of your question.
I'm sorry. They've given us the citation, but not provided the documentation that citation shows. I don't know if we can advance this if we don't have page 59 of something I'm not going to try to pronounce.
Well, she's also allowing Schreiber as a
Yeah,
surname.
but that's not the point. The point is she submitted a surname and said it's found here, but didn't provide us that documentation.
Yeah,
No, and
Citation.
she also didn't supply. Has she supplied her driver's license or anything to prove that her mundane name is Schreiber? Or would we need to get that from her in order to
Sure, I can get it.
All right, so here's what I am going to do on this one. I am going to pend the name until we can either get a copy of the documentation for the surname or the proof for the
mundane.
names.
I have. I did a Google search of Anna Zunemann. And in Google Books, I got a hit for Die deutschen Familiennamen. It has two examples dated 1361 and 1369.
That sounds good.
very good.
I still think we should pen this until she sends her own documentation in.
Of course you would.
So I will send this to Ulrich by messenger. I can find my messenger tab again. It went away. Damn it.
So that gives us a given name and a surname both in 1300s.
Mm-hmm. And fits her request for 14th century.
And both are German. So 14th century German.
14th century Silesia. I don't know if that's going to be a. Adelaide sent me the link for that book.
Oh, Spark is walking.
Hi, Spark.
Thanks, Adelaide.
Hey.
Yep.
He was very good. We went to visit his mother today.
Good.
All right.
All right.
And she is requesting authenticity to Silesia.
Well,
that's why documentation helps.
Well, I mean, let me.
Spark waves.
Alex, Adelaide says, look at the YouTube chat.
I am. I don't know what she's talking about. She said she put the link up there, and I'm not seeing what she's referring to.
Okay.
I just asked her that.
The name in the book is documented to Breslau, which is in Lower Silesia. So the name is good.
Yay!
For the authenticity that she's requesting.
Okay.
Okay.
We had no comments on the device, though.
Well, we're getting there.
I know.
So
we got this.
So name is going to be good. We're going to send it up. Moving on to the device. Peen, 3 C blätter, and a double treasure argent.
Nice.
Looks like something
like
Terran.
So I did the initial consultation and obviously design on it since it's got a double tresser to get around a conflict. So when I did the initial consultation, that was the reason why the double tresser was there, to get around the Peen 3C black, because it was, I think it was like 3 flower-shaped things that conflicted with C black. So it should be clear. but
It is pretty.
See, we knew this wasn't Terrans. It's not
It
that.
is.
It's not
Oh
complicated.
no, it looks really good. It's just
It does. It's very pretty. I like it.
Yeah, I see
It's
the
nice.
device that you originally had the conflict with, and I'm not seeing anything else that's close. So I think we should be good with this one.
Yeah,
It's pretty.
All
I
right.
hope they never have to embroider it.
me either.
It says having an ermine on her device.
Yes.
You know, you can buy the fabric on Spoonflower, and then you just have to do the outline of the sea bladder and the.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, you can send them the black and white image, and they'll custom print it for you with all the art already done. You just paint it in.
That's true too.
Yeah.
All right. So device is good. We're going to send it up. Moving along to item number 7, Mara Palmer, new badge. Argent Semi of Amulets Azure, a wooden crutch and a wooden spoon in Saltier proper.
I think that's supposed to be bubble wrap. Which is perfect for Mara.
It's supposed to be bubble wrap.
We've always told her we have to wrap her in bubble wrap. Come on, guys. Trying to do a badge that matches.
The bubble wrap and the crutch, perfect.
And the spoon.
And the spoon, yes.
when I see the blue rings, I think of a blue ring octopus, and I'm like, when you see the blue rings, you know you're in danger.
No touchy. No touchy. Okay, so yeah, I like it. I wasn't able to. I didn't have time to do a conflict check on it. Edwin Leclerc didn't find any conflicts on it. Anybody else?
Not much, Edwin.
I'm not seeing any.
Are we gonna run into any issues with the wooden crutch and wooden spoon proper, with them being brown? I don't think we will.
I don't think so because both are frequently made of wood.
Right.
And we're blazoning this wooden.
Yeah, and they're gonna and 10A and brown is naturally dark on a metal, so it should be okay.
Are we going to run into potential conflicts with 2 similar charges in Sable?
We might.
2 similar charges? No.
Well, if we had 2 spoons.
You might find one with 2 spoons or one with 2 crutches, but you're not going to find one with a spoon and a crutch. So it's going to be clear of either of those 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you've changed half of the primary charge.
In that case,
we're
going to call it good and send it up.
And when she gets this registered, we could just wrap her in bubble wrap because it would have been documented.
All right, so moving on to item number 8, Milkorka Farmother. New name. Both documented to Viking Insulated, Old Norse names.
Both from Girvassi, so.
Yeah, both from Girvassi. Construction checks out. No conflicts noted. So
looks good.
All right. Well,
isn't it nice to have an easy one?
It is. You know, after spending 45 minutes talking about whether or not a household name would work, being able to say, "Yeah, that's true."
It was complicated. We got into it,
and it was good. It was a conversation that needed to happen, but
yes,
we have now gone.
Yes.
So let us continue moving on.
Yay!
So that name is going to go on up. Going on to item number 9, Miran Ingen Karen. New alternate name, Morna Talon.
14th century Irish, Lorna.
As Pantheon points out, Morna in the documentation provided is a by name, not a given name.
Oh.
That's a problem in Gaelic, or in but this looks more Irish, or maybe anglicized Irish than it looks Gaelic.
The name, the full name cited in the documentation here looks full on Gaelic.
Can we back up a moment? We have a commenter on YouTube pointing out that the ILOI says MELKORKA and MELKORA.
That's correct, but Girabasi has the spelling she submitted.
Okay, there's no.
Let me double check the form real quick.
Make sure which one's correct. Yeah.
It is spelled with a K on the form, so that was just a transcription error putting it into Oscar.
Okay.
Okay.
That will not be an issue.
Okay. On item number 9, Talon was an English name.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. What is the I'm still confused on this. The name is MELKORKA on the Oscar entry. Is that what is documented?
That is what is documented, and that is what is on the name requested line on the submission form.
Okay.
It is correct in both of those places. In the cited documentation on Oscar, it's missing a K because of a transcription error.
Okay, I'm cool. Just checking. Now we went too fast.
It's a typo.
The answer. Huh?
Yeah, it's a typo.
Okay, it's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you mean.
It's okay, Kurt. We all do it sometimes.
It's all right.
It's all right. All right, so the question becomes, can we document Morna as a given name? Given that the
I don't know if I have Irish names.
Well, Talon is an English surname.
yeah, it's a late
So we're not
English
talking about a Gaelic name. We're talking about anglicized Irish or English. So we should be able to we have to document Morna from one or the other.
My initial check on Family Search is coming up.
Withacombe has. Oh, I'm sorry. Withacombe has one, but it's undated, meaning Gaelic meaning beloved.
Okay, let's see here. What is the date on Talon?
1610.
Okay, I'm looking later in some of the Gaelic names to see if I can find anything.
I'm not finding anything.
No, I'm finding Mauda as Anglo-Irish. Let's see.
Just as a bonnet.
This one.
I'm not finding anything on Family Search.
I'm looking under various articles. I know we documented Moira, but Morna, I can find Morena, which is a diminutive of Irish Moor, M-O-R. Moor. Let's see.
So I did a little bit more of the Google searching. And I've got a Wikipedia page. I know, horrible. But there's an interview by BBC Scotland discussing the 15th century song wherein a character named Gareth is featured. In Irish law, Gareth was the son of Morna.
Okay.
But I can't find any references to Morna.
I'm still looking on some of these articles.
Well, I mean, given the construction of the name in the documentation, it's a patronymic where Morna would be the name turned into the patronymic, but I believe that is a masculine name, not a feminine name.
Let's see. It's very possible.
Mary desires a feminine name, so
Right.
And we do not go by Wolf much anymore for given names.
and I don't know what the nominative form of Morna in that particular case would be, because that Morna with that spelling is the genitive. Because it's Caulifth of Morna.
That sounds like a place name.
It could be. I don't know enough Gaelic to say.
Still looking, but I'm still not finding Morna in any of the articles I'm perusing. Let's try something else.
I think this is one of those cases where it sounds cool as a given name, but we can't really document it.
At least not yet. Undoubtedly, there may be something they can just find.
There may be something, but I'm not finding it.
I'm still looking, but
Karen says, isn't Uamorna a derivative child of Morna? Adelaide says it's clan of Mora and it's the origin of something.
Omoran or Omor.
well, the UA is also the same as the O, which usually means a descendant of.
But now she also says that her biggest desire is the sound.
Mm-hmm.
So can we change it to something that is possible and sounds like that?
Let's see. Okay, I'm looking at some submission returns by name. Some of these are very old. I've got one for Allison, one for Dode, one for Giles, which they all returned the name Morna. So let's see. It says Morna is also an anglicized form of the female Irish name Muime. However, considering the byname is an anglicized name.
Did we lose her?
No, Jael is some of these were returned not for the given name, so I'm trying to figure out why they were returned, if they are at all applicable to what we're looking for.
So there is an Irish name, Myrna, Muirne,
Mm-hmm.
that is mentioned in the Fenian cycle of Irish mythology.
Okay. Okay. There was a
The
return.
question.
There was a return on Finn McMora. According to the LOI, the documentation for the by name comes from Finn McConnell, Celtic myth and legend, blah, blah, blah. However, it become Celtic. Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with that name. It says Morn is also an anglicized form of the female Irish name Muirne, Muirne. However, considering the by name as an anglicized metronymic introduces other problems. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but it sounds like it might be listed under Muirne.
Yeah, Muirne is what I'm finding as well. And then Morna is the matronymic, as you say.
Okay. So it's not a standalone name, it is a matronymic form.
Yeah, McMorna is the patronymic, but Myrna, Muirne,
is the actual name. I wonder if she go for that.
Is the actual name, and if she'll go for that, that will give her the sound.
Yes. We just have to document that particular form.
Exactly.
Muirne.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what I can find on that one.
MUIR what?
NE. Okay, nobody has submitted it through Oscar, so we don't have any documentation that way. Let's try something else.
Not coming up in the search on Morseless.
No. How about IGI, name search? We've got a couple registered, but they are all in the 1990s. So that's going to be pre-Oscar to try to get the documentation. There's 3 registered.
I've found one here. See here, Morna Adams, dated 1624, Morne.
That's close too.
Gender female.
Is it a good batch?
It's on. See here, it is on Family Search. It's an iBatch or iBatches. I'm not sure.
I don't remember whether iBatches. They may be one of those on case-by-case things.
Actually, I think eyes are, but we better make sure.
Yeah, that would be one of the appendices. Let's see, I'm looking for names. Let's start over here. I wasn't looking for near, let's see, Irish. Let's see if I can find feminine given names. Not in that one.
So if
eyes on a case-by-case basis.
eyes on a case by case basis.
That's what I thought. I'm getting too far back on this article. I need something closer. Let's see. Let's try this one. Oh, please be there. Nope.
No. Okay, wandering down a rabbit hole in an Irish thing for a moment.
Let's see.
Survey the other one.
Finding lots of stuff from basically Irish mythology.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting too.
Yeah, lots and lots of stuff from the Finn cycle, the Oceanic cycle, about the warrior who was the son of Myrna.
Yeah.
The issue we're going to run into there is making sure that it was a name actually used by people and not just a mythological figure.
Correct.
True.
We run into that a lot in Gaelic, and we run into that a lot in Greek.
I'm still not finding Myrna listed. Hang on a second. I've got an idea of one place else I might look.
See, I just found another Morna, M-O-R-N-E. I think it might be the same name on different.
Yeah, and Adelaide messaged you something as well.
Sorry?
Unfortunately,
Adelaide messaged Ulrich. Ulrich, check. I'm not sure what she messaged you with.
Well, if she has messaged me something, it hasn't come through yet.
Okay.
all the name stuff I have here is likely to be English and not Gaelic.
English would probably be better because
because it's in English.
The surname is English.
Let me go have a look, see if I can find a copy of those books.
We might be able to find Myrna or Morna in English.
We have a comment that the Swedish version of M-Y-R-N-A, Myrna, is M-O-R-N-A.
I was wondering if it might be Scandinavian.
And can you combine Scottish with Scandinavian? It would make sense to me.
You can combine. You can't combine Scandinavian and English post 1100.
Okay.
No more
Scottish.
Post 1100, you can only combine it with Dutch, French, and Gaelic.
Okay, I was thinking maybe it would be in Wolf and I could transpose to look somewhere else in Wolf, but it's not.
I'll be back before you get my ice pad. My ice pad go in my hand.
Okay.
It's still
Let's try something else here.
I'm going to suggest advancing it with Morna, M-O-R-N-E, with the eye batch, and just cross my fingers. I mean, I can send a message to Alice, send a message to Pelican, and ask if that would be an acceptable batch to use.
Yeah.
Or you can pend it. You can pend
that's
it because there's
what
more
I
digging.
have to do is pend it until I get an answer from Pelican on whether or not I can use this documentation and get words. It's been a long day.
It's getting late.
Get the submitter to approve a change.
Yeah.
So whether it's a change to the form, to remove the that she wants a remove that she wants a feminine name, just make it don't care and just get her the name that she wants. Whether we change the name by changing the A to an E and send it through as a good late English name.
Well, she said sound was most important, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Sound.
Yes.
So as long as it's pronounced correctly.
Well, it's the submitter's name. She can pronounce it however she wants.
And
Well,
Taryn said she didn't care if we could document it as male either.
Okay. Well, we documented it as female with the E, right?
Yeah, I can document it as a female name, but it's an I batch, so I'd have to contact Alice, contact Pelican, and make sure that I can actually use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to advance it just to be told, oh, you can't use that documentation.
Right. Exactly.
Okay. Well, I would add the MUIRNE form too, and see if somebody can find it. But MORNE is actually closer to what she submitted.
I'm going to pend it for right now until we can work out some of these kinks.
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna pend that one for now, and try and do some digging and get the submitter something that will both work and be what they want.
Correct.
All right, moving on to item number 10, College of Phoenix Rising, a resub device, ghouls on a bend between a phoenix and a laurel wreath or 3 pairs of battle axes, Palewise, Insultier, Sable. The reason this was returned initially was because the name College of Phoenix Rising was originally returned. There was no issue with the device, but somehow the device didn't come back in with the resub name.
We don't know either.
So nothing needed to be changed when it was returned. It was just returned because the name associated with it was also returned.
We do have another question. Where did Palewise come from? That wasn't in the original Blazon.
Because the axes are not following the line of the bend.
Yes, they do.
They do.
No, they don't.
No.
No.
No, they would be.
If they were following the line of the bend, they'd be
They would
tilted
have to be
bendwise,
turned.
but they're not.
Yeah, that's right. So they are Palewise.
They have to be blazoned as Palewise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight up and down and not at an angle.
So my question is, was Phoenix Rising College of returned? Because
it's been passed now.
Yeah, it has now been passed. Yes, it was resubmitted and has been passed.
Okay.
It was on the
in December of 2018.
So this looks good to go.
I'm still not sure about that Palewise part. I see what you're getting at, though. Okay.
They have to be upright instead of following the line of the bend, and the blazon has to reflect that.
Okay, all right. I see what you're getting at, but once upon a time, this is coming from my ancient age here, because they are simply in Saltier. The default would be upright as an X, and you wouldn't have to add the Palewise. They would be on a bend in Saltier each. So yeah, I see what you're getting at.
But the current Blazon is they would, because they're on a bend, they would be bendwise.
Yeah.
Naturally.
They can still be bendwise in Saltier.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if it's not correct, Reef can correct it, but I'm sure they have to be blazoned Palewise.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Yeah, it's the Blazon. It's just the word. So
Yeah,
this is correct.
the one comment about that other emblazon that's on there, I don't know how the hell that ever got submitted at all. It was just a sketch during the voting process on what the group wanted, one of about 9. Don't know how it got there.
I believe that was the one that was in the packet that was originally sent in.
Oh, okay. Shouldn't have been there.
Because that would be the one that Cypher has on file as digital.
That was a color sketch I threw together in about 5 minutes on GIMP. It was never meant for process.
Reese would like to know if the petition is in order.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to ask. Ruth would like to know if the petition of support has been signed.
It should have been with it.
Well, it was originally good. If we're resubmitting the same device, then the original petition should still be good.
We redid the petition just to be sure.
Oh, okay.
Even better.
Yeah, but there is one issue. You guys forgot to date it.
Dated?
Look at you.
It says dated blank by the same Seneschal.
I blame her.
This was before I took over. Shut up.
Because I just pulled it up to check that, because we had the one for Southreach last month that they had to redo and send in because we redrew the device and we added options, approved options for the name, and they had, whenever they sent in the petitions the first time, they had forgotten to date it, so they had to go back and date them and send them back in.
Well, this one, you can use whichever petition you wish because the device has not changed since the very first version. The only thing we had to redo was
the original petition dated?
I would have to find it again.
Because you're submitting the same device you submitted when you originally submitted the name, so nothing's changed about the device. The original petition should still be good, as long as it's dated.
Reed says just make sure that that petition is dated before it hits the external LOI.
Yep.
Yep.
So, so if you happen to have, made photocopies of it before you sent it in, like you should have,
there should be.
Then
he's checking his records.
Well, actually, that's the thing. At this point, they're not in my records. They're in another location.
Ah.
If you have it, just send it back to me, and I'll get it taken care of and back to you by the end of the week.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, I'll take care of it. Or I will let you take care of it.
Yes.
I will get it to you so you can take care of it.
Somebody will take care of it. This is
As long as it's taken care of, I don't care.
To paraphrase Beyonce, if you liked it, you should have put a date on it.
Blame her.
Oh, Lucian! Oh,
You can face
We're going to.
Oh.
Even the dog wants in on the act.
All right, so the device itself is good. We just need to get dated petitions so that we can get that going. I will pend it until I get valid petitions.
Date of last reading.
All right.
You got
So-
8 days. There's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Except
Yeah, we're doing good, but this month the meeting is early.
Yes. We got 8 days.
Yeah, we're doing good.
I lose the local in a couple of days going to Washington for a week, but that's okay. We can work on that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay.
All right, so the device is good. We're pending it until we get good petitions. Moving along to item number 11,
I'm good.
which is the last item on our letter.
Woohoo!
And the crowd goes wild.
I'm probably going to butcher his name, and I apologize for that. Randall de Tancrelesia? Tancrelesia?
Yeah.
Tancrelesia?
Tancrelesia.
Okay.
You are correct. You did butcher the name.
Well, somebody had to do it.
Bend, vert,
like-
and single, a compass star, and a chief dovetailed argent.
Ooh, this is pretty.
Very simple.
Old item for chevron or an azure, a compass star ghouls to be released. We have a step from period practice for the use of a compass star, but otherwise no issues.
The
And,
chief appears to be a proper depth.
Yeah.
The line
Looks
of
good.
division, everything looks good.
Yeah.
And your complex.
No, looks good.
Looks nice.
Very
Simple.
I think we're good. We're gonna call it good and send it up and wrap up our meeting.
Oh,
Woohoo.
So that brings us to the end of the letter.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and we all made it
Let's see.
alive.
Thank
Well,
you to
actually,
the.
my computer died at one point.
Okay.
I
Thank
had
you.
too many windows open, and it just went.
Okay. Let Penn finish.
So thank you to the 12 people who are watching on the live stream right now. I know that I am one of them, and Alexander is one of them. But
So it's only 10 real people,
I'm also on YouTube.
9 real people.
yeah, but
It turns out all of the commenters are also watching on YouTube. There's only actually 2 people watching.
see, but Cormac is watching on YouTube, so that counts for like 4 people.
Okay, it's not quite four.
It all balances out. So thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. The meeting next month is going to tentatively be scheduled for Tuesday, August 27th. So, and we may be trying to have next month's meeting on Slack because we are talking about moving over to Slack from Hangouts and YouTube because Hangouts is going away.
Mm-hmm.
I've never dealt with Slack before. Do you just post a link the way you've been doing with Google?
The one time I did a video chat in Slack, it was like that. It was a link that you just went to, and it functioned just like a Hangout. It was Skaya's meeting.
That was Zoom.
That was Zoom.
That was
Oh, that
Zoom.
was Zoom? Okay.
Yes, it was
Okay.
Zoom.
My suspicion with a Slack meeting is that we will all have to be logged into Slack and in the channel where the meeting is about to happen, because I use Slack extensively for work.
Yeah, me too. And that's
So
Yeah.
we'll
You know what,
have to
Bronwyn? We will create accounts and figure this out before next month.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
not a problem.
Do we want to continue having this on the live feed, or do we want to log off of
Yes,
that?
let's wrap up the live, please.
Reef loves watching us so much he's got it going on 3 different devices.
It counts for 4.
He's going from room to room to room. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
We love you, Reed.
We'll figure something out. All right. So thank you everybody for coming out and helping with commentary tonight. And I hope to see you all again next month. So good night, everybody.
Good night.